בשם השם נעשה ונצליח, שיעור תורה, ברוכים הבאים, שבוע טוב, שבוע מבורך. We're back in sunny Isles, Florida, Baruch Hashem, in our weekly shiur. The series that we have about the Chazon Ish, Emunah and Bitachon, but really the Jewish HaShkafa, the Jewish ideology, and what is a Jew supposed to think. If all of the people that send us messages and really all of Klal Yisrael simply knew how they're supposed to think, virtually 100% of your questions would be eliminated, because not only will you be able to understand how to deal with your problems, but you also have a Rosh Yashar. A Rosh Yashar will be able to figure things out of what's right and wrong. And then all you're doing is just asking for verification purposes, is this the right thing to do? I think it is. Is it right? Yes, no, and more times than not, you're right. Because you always have to have a Rav to make sure that you're right. But the point is that that's really what the HaShkafa is supposed to tell a person if their head is straight. Today's shiur is going to be for a refuah shlema for our dear friend Yitro ben Avraham. Also for Levana bat Sarah, for David ben Esriya, for Doris bat Jora, for Yechiel Victor ben Simcha, for Dvora bat Mercedes, Elisheva Chaya bat Sarah, Serach bat Batya, Batya bat Sarah, and all of Am Yisrael, BeEzrat Hashem, will have refuah shlema, refuat hanefesh, refuat haguf. So a little bit of updates. Baruch Hashem, things are going and moving fast. We hired a few more people last week. Baruch Hashem, a few more volunteers, one more employee in Eretz Yisrael, continuing to expand the organization. Ishtabach Shemo. We're launching some more channels very soon, a new Hebrew channel, Russian channel, Turkish channel, and some other languages, that are Indonesian, BeEzrat Hashem, and a few others, BeEzrat Hashem. So far our French, German, Portuguese, Spanish, and Korean channels are doing okay. There are, Baruch Hashem, new videos every single day, Shtabach Shimo, new subscribers every day, new people sending comments that they've never seen such emet, which is changing their life already. So Baruch Hashem, it's working. It's working. The Torah is working. Tonight, BeEzrat Hashem, I'll also tell you a story of a mamash pele playim. Even though it's happened many times before, every time it happens, it's always exciting. Kiddush Hashem, that's out there. Another wonderful news. A wonderful new couple sent me a message from South Africa. The Jewish couple of South Africa. I believe he's Israeli and she is, I think she's from Australia or from America possibly. She's an English speaker. And they're watching our shiurim, Baruch Hashem, doing tshuva, getting stronger, and they want to publicize the Torah in South Africa, Keilah over there. Baruch Hashem, there's already several people in South Africa, in the Jewish Keilah over there, that are publicizing our shiurim, and little by little it's getting to more and more people. So, BeEzrat Hashem, the goal is to spread the Torah to the four corners of the world, spread the emet to the four corners of the world. And that's what we're trying to do. But at the same token, we have to have a base, we have to have a place where we can have the most amount of influence for the next generation of people that are local. And that's why last week, I believe it was, we started a campaign to build that YESHIVA that I told you guys about some time ago. We're going forth with it, BeEzrat Hashem. Obviously, we need lots of brachot, lots of money, and even more siyata dishmaya than both, because we're really going to try to build a yeshiva that's from birth to olam haba. That's really the goal. We're going to try this thing from the little toddlers little kids like my kids to kollel, Baal Tshuva, yeshiva, regular yeshiva, boys, girls, obviously different sections of the building or buildings, because halacha does not allow for boys and girls to learn in the same class. For anyone that's sending their kids to a so-called modern Orthodox yeshiva that has boys and girls, it's no longer a yeshiva, it's now a public school that teaches Torah, because the halacha does not allow it. Why? Because of all the obvious reasons that boys and girls, they don't just go to school to study. They go to school to socialize. And if a boy and girl to socialize, you have what you have in the world today, which is kids that keep Shabbat, but act secular everywhere else. So it's very, very important for people to have a place to send their kids where they can rely on the HaShkafa. They can rely on the ideology of the people running the place, where it's not for money. Although there's going to be fees to pay and all types of things, that's not number one. One of the ways that we're, BeEzrat Hashem, going to prove that it's not number one, money is not number one, is that our policy is going to be, we will never throw out a child out of the school because of monetary reasons. Whether they can afford it or they can't afford it, they're allowed to attend. And the only reason they'll be thrown out is if they violate the rules of the yeshiva, such as being a Machtiya Rabim, or if their parents are Machtiya Rabim, where they cause the public to sin, and they care less about the Torah, and it's just taking advantage of the system. You know, somebody like that, obviously it's hurting other people, then halacha allows to save the others in order, by throwing one out. But that's a very rare situation. And BeEzrat Hashem, the more involved you are, the more you make sure you have good teachers, the more you make sure that you have a good program, the more you can get any Jew to do tshuva. Any Jew. Now also there has to be a place for people that are going to convert or are newly converts. Many times these converts, they, Baruch Hashem, they join Klal Yisrael, they go to Bet Din, they finish the conversion, they want to join yeshiva, and they have a very hard time. Why? Because they don't really know very much. And even more so, they don't really fit in. They don't really fit in. You know, the guy comes in, he just came from Pakistan, or he just came from India, or he just came from Africa, or he's a New Yorker, he's African American, he's this one, he's that one, all these different Chinese, whatever it is. And he doesn't fit into the role model. Well, BeEzrat Hashem, our yeshiva, BeEzrat Hashem, will look like the United Nations. Just like Yetziat Mitzrayim. You know, so the key, Rabotai Yekarim, is to teach Jews to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But this is going to require a lot of help from the public. You know, if people that watch the shiurim and say that these shiurim are saving their life, if each one of them simply sent $100 a month for every lecture, or even for one lecture that they watch a month. They watch, 12 lectures a month, and something like 20, 30 clips, $100 a month. If every single person that watches our shiurim, send $100 a month, you'd have yourself millions of dollars already in 1 month. But it's the reality is a lot of people watch the shiurim, they benefit out of them, but they don't send as much. Sometimes because they can, sometimes because they don't feel like they need to. Figure, oh yeah, but it's free, so why should I need to pay for it? You don't need to pay for it. You don't need to pay for it. It's not a fee to watch. You should, but you don't need to. Why? Because there is a tshuva process that a person needs to understand, that you cannot do tshuva by yourself. What does that mean? Doesn't matter whether you were born into a religious family or you did tshuva at some other point. If you're watching our shiurim, that's because they're inspiring you to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means that every shiur, if Hashem gives us the merit, we inspire you to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, meaning that you're doing a little bit more tshuva in every shiur. That's what a Jew is supposed to be. A Jew is supposed to be someone who does tshuva every day. Every day. We're not fortunate enough to do shiurim 7 times a week yet, but 3 times a week, Baruch Hashem, we can. So, yeah, 3 times a week you get inspired to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. 3 times a week you're doing tshuva towards HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and the other days you're also getting short clips that help you do tshuva. So now, every time a person does tshuva, he gets closer and closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's all great. And if he continues or she continues to do this for 70, 80 years, B'ezrat Hashem, this is going to be very good in Olam Haba. What's the problem? The deficit. What's the deficit? The deficit you showed up with on day one. On day one, you came from birth with 20 years worth of wasting seed. On day one, you showed up as a Baal Tshuva with 20 years of Chilul Shabbat. On day one, you showed up with 15, 20, 30 years of walking around immodestly and being Machtiyah Rabim. You showed up with a deficit. Now, Baruch Hashem, you did Tshuva 40, 50, 60 years. You're fantastic, you're the tzaddiket, you're Rabbanit, good. But you show up to Shamayim and say, fantastic what you did from the day you started doing Tshuva, amazing. One problem, the deficit. What? What you did before. What you did before, you didn't keep Shabbat for 20 years. You wasted seed for 20 years. You walked around immodestly for 20 years and caused other people to sin. And so on and so forth. You ate taref for 20 years. What are you going to do with that deficit? What, do you think it just goes away? What is it, hot air? No, it created something. So how do you fix this? Rabotai Karim, there is no better way to fix our past than the suggestion that was given to us by Yechezkel HaNavi, Ezekiel. Don't let your sins of your past be the stumbling block of your future. He tells you, you do tshuva and you bring others with you. Why? Those others that you bring with you to do tshuva, they're going to be the ones that they start doing mitzvot and help you fix your past. Why? Because now you kept Shabbat. That's one Shabbat. So that means that you came up to Shamayim 70 Shabbats in a row. You stopped wasting seed. Baruch Hashem, 70 years of watching your BEIT. Baruch Hashem, fantastic. But what about the deficit? Now you got one person to do tshuva because you donated every month 100, 200, 500, 1,000, everyone in their own level. $5 for all the kids. Whatever is your level. Everybody's own level. If you're making a high income, your donations have to be high. If you're making a low income, your donations are low. Whatever it is, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu blessed you with, that's what you give. You give your MUSSAR. Now you give your MUSSAR to its KIRUV to help Am Yisrael go closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. What happens with that? That money is used to help Am Yisrael do tshuva, whether it's to print another few 100,000 CDs or another few million CDs or another USB, or to help movie production with all of these fantastic movies that get produced every single week, a new movie, Shtabach Shimo. Hollywood is already calling us saying, how are you guys doing it so much? How much staff do you have? 30, 40,000? How are you guys doing so much work? It doesn't make any sense. What is your staff? 3,000, 4,000? What's your budget? 500 million? Ishtabach Shimolad. How are you doing all this? People are asking, how do you come up with so much material? Haggadah, Megillah, all types of books, all types of movies, all types of languages. It's all Siyata Dishmaya. It's all HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's it. That's what it is. That's the secret. Why? No one is doing it for money. Some people get paid, some people do for free, but no one, even the people who do get paid, no one's doing it for money. Why? Reality is, you see what people's paychecks are, and the hours that they're working, you realize these people are like, if they didn't do it for this, it would be slavery. Why? Because the reality is, everyone understands, to do KIRUV, to help Am Yisrael get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, requires mesirut nefesh, requires sacrifice, and that's why it works. Organizations that are predominantly focused on money generally do not help people do tshuva. Why? It doesn't work. This is a fact. So what happens now when you start donating your money, your MUSSAR, every 2 weeks you get paycheck, every month you get paycheck, you start donating, that money eventually is going to pay somebody. It's going to pay a salary, it's going to pay for CDs, it's going to pay for USBs, it's going to pay for one of the movies, it's going to pay for one of the books, and so on and so forth. Someone's going to read it, someone's going to watch it, someone's going to use it. They're going to start doing tshuva. It's going to pay for one of these shiurim. Someone's going to do tshuva. They're going to start keeping Shabbat. They're going to start keeping Talat Mishpacha. They're going to be like this tzadikah that just this couple, this Motzei Shabbat, gave me a gift. I love when my students give me gifts, but the best gifts in the world are not money. You know what she gave me? She gave me a video of her burning her wig. That's what the video. Why is this such a great gift? Because she's a hairstylist. She deals with wigs. Imagine the hairstylist shows up to the place with kisui rosh. What a kiddush Hashem that is. Oh, what happened to your kisui rosh? What happened to your wig? You had the nicest wig in town. No more wig. Why? Avodah Zarah. The wig is Avodah Zarah. The hairstylist shows up to our shop with a kisui rosh. Why? Because she knows that the wig is Avodah Zarah. It took her a long time. And we were going back and forth for a couple of years already. But she gave me a gift. She says, that's it. I've had it. No more Avodah Zarah in my house. What should I do? I said, burn it. She not only burned it, she made a Kiddush Hashem by sending a video, and we publicize it today. So your video, your money was used to help people, help reach people that are doing tshuva for wigs, doing tshuva for zera levatala, and so on and so forth. Every single day that they do a tshuva from that moment on goes into your account. That means that every Shabbat, you keep Shabbat, they keep Shabbat, you have 2 Shabbats. But now they have kids now. Now they got married now. Their husband's keeping Shabbat, the kids keep Shabbat. And what happens? Every Shabbat now is 6 Shabbats, 7 Shabbats, 8 Shabbats. You show up to Shamayim like Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes. Why? You have a surplus. They said, listen, you only live 7 years, but you have 700 years worth of Shabbat. What do you want us to do with it? What do you want us to do with this surplus? You're the richest guy in town. Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes is praying for you now to get to Tzchuyot. What's going on here? You have so many Shabbats. You have so many this, so many that. You're a KIRUV machine. Gan Eden, your Gan Eden is going to go up every day. Why? Because these people continue to live, their grandkids, and so on and so forth. What do? Every single time people pray, people do something, and they ask for your merit, the merit of Reuven, the merit of Shimon, the merit of this tzaddik that did a lot of KIRUV, guess what? You can use that merit to help the people still in this world. Help them do tshuva, help them get parnasah, and so on and so forth. That's what you have all this extra for. Aside from your own benefit of getting a nice olam haba. You show up to olam haba, it says we have to create a new one for you. Why? You have 700 years worth of Shabbats. And the beauty is, there's no limitation. There's no limitation to the spiritual elevation that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can give a person. No limitation. It can always get better. And the difference between one level and another, you say, wait, it's so good already, how could it get better? Let's do this. Just like we see on the bad side, when I compared it to you guys, the fire, the guy that's in the fire in a bad place, and the guy that's not in the fire, that's the difference between one step in Gehinom to the other step in Gehinom. One guy's in the fire, one guy's not in the fire, they're both in the fire. But the feeling between the two is like one guy doesn't have fire, one guy doesn't have fire. It's 500 times, the Gemara says, 500 times more for good. Meaning, one guy, he is just hanging out. The other guy has worlds. Then the other guy has worlds already. He has worlds already. He's good. He's in good shape, right? Now he gets planets. He gets universes. He gets all of the good that you can possibly imagine. Multiplied by infinity, it's not enough as a down payment for the difference between one level and the other. And those people can get that level elevated on a daily basis. The pleasure that you felt yesterday that was so good will feel like it was painful in comparison to the pleasure that you will feel the next day. That's how good Olam Haba is. When a person understands that we came to this world to toil for Olam Haba. So yeah, it's difficult, and yeah, it's expensive, and yeah, I can't sleep, and I can't this, and there's conflict, and there's all that. But when you realize what the payment is, Ishtabach Shimo La'ai, you say, how come I didn't do more, Hashem? Why don't you send me an email or something? He's going to tell you, what do you mean email? I sent you an organization called BeEzrat Hashem. You don't need anything else? I had my name on the organization. You need something else? So Rabotai, it's very important for people to know everything we do is for the sake of Klal Israel. There's no other interest, no other care in the world. And it's time for everybody to get involved. So we would like to build a yeshiva. We would like to build a school. We already have local teachers, fantastic human beings that we already know that they're hired on day one. We already have some people that we want to bring from Eretz Israel. We already have the whole idea. We just need the money. Now, I really want to build something extraordinary, $10 million institution just to get started. But we could start off with at least $500,000 just to get started. We don't need 10 million. If we get 10 million, it's going to be bigger. But if we can at least get to $500,000, we get a down payment on something to get something started for the next school year. This is critical because this allows all of the people that watch us from all over the world, they always ask me, oh, should I move to your community? I tell them no. Why? I don't, other than my shiur, you're not going to get anything. I don't come to the shul that I go to because I never really usually go to the same shul twice. Either because they annoy me too much or it's because this or because of that. So I generally don't go to my shul. There's no shul. I don't have a shul. But now if you start getting some, you build an institution, and shul is going to be part of it. You'll have a synagogue as part of it, a yeshiva part of it, all types of things as part of it. We'll build it as big as Kadosh Baruch Hu allows us. We'll try to build a little Bet HaMikdash, so when Kadosh Baruch Hu sends us the Mashiach, BeEzrat Hashem, He can add it as an addition to the Bet HaMikdash. That's the key, Rabotai. So all the people that want finally to have a community where they could send their kids and not worry about molestations and Christianity missionizing and all the other garbage that people have to deal with on a day-to-day basis, BeEzrat Hashem, they'll be able to do it. But if everybody doesn't volunteer, if everybody doesn't start making major sacrifices, and they worry more about opening a second business or buying a third house or a second house and going on a vacation, that's what their number one priority is, then we'll sit here and continue just giving shiurim and help people the way we are. It's not going to stop us. But to grow further, we need more help. Now, the beauty is, Rabotai Yekarim, is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is doing His. What is He doing? He's making BeEzrat Hashem expand more in the last several months than all of the last few years combined. It's unbelievable how many more views, how many more people, every single day, new Baalei Tshuva, and the new converts, new people getting closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We are now at a point where at the rough estimate is 5 million minutes per month are being watched just on our videos. 5 million minutes, maybe more. It's probably more, but we're estimating at least 5 million. To give you an estimate, there are some organizations that have 500 speakers on their channel, very famous organization, and out of their 500 speakers, our channel, we're not part of it. Us, what we're doing is more than 10, probably closer to 20% of what they do with 500 speakers. Just people get an idea. And this is just the beginning. There's an enormous amount of work to be done, and we need people to volunteer, to donate, to help, to do something. Everybody's got to do something. Why? Because it's important. And it's not enough for a few people to just go in the comments area on every shiur and say donate to everybody. It's not enough. Or to say, oh, this is great, Baruch Hashem Shavua Tov. That's all great, and thank you very much. But everybody's got to try to push themselves more. Why? We don't have that much time. So when HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to send us the Mashiach is going to ask every single one of us, what did you do for me? And so, I prayed every day. No, you did that for you. Oh, I learned Torah. You did that for you. Oh, I watched shiur. No, you didn't say that already. You did that for yourself. I ate kosher for yourself. I got married for yourself. I did mitzvot for yourself. What did you do to bring me? What do you need? Well, there was about 1 million kids in Eretz Yisrael that didn't know Shema Yisrael. Did you do anything to help them do Shema Yisrael? No, I didn't even know about that. Oh, what about there's 6 million Jews in America? Probably half of them don't know Shema Yisrael. You do anything to help them? No, not so much. 500,000 Jews converted to Christianity. Did you help anybody to get them out of there? No, not so much. So what did you do that you want Mashiach to save you? What did you do exactly? Every single person needs to know. First question. What did you do to bring Mashiach? Number one thing that a person can do, Gemara, Masechet Sanhedrin, Rabbi Eliezer ben Horkinos, says to his Talmidim, I'm scared. I want Mashiach to come, but I'm scared to be there when he comes. So you say to him, Kvod Harav, if you're scared, we're scared even more. What can we do in case he comes in our lifetime? He says, you want to be saved by the time of Mashiach? Deal with Torah and Gmilut Chasadim. Follow the Torah and do chesed. What chesed? What chesed? What's Gmilut Chasadim? What's the biggest chesed, Kvod Harav? It's a KIRUV. Help Am Yisrael do tshuva. The greatest chesed you could possibly do for a human being is help him do tshuva. Get him closer to Hashem. Why? Because that's a chesed that never ends. If you give somebody a loan, you give somebody a shidduch, you give somebody some money, whatever it is, all of that is temporary. You get somebody to get closer to Hashem, there's nothing better than you. Why? Permanent. You brought him olam haba. You brought him olam haba. And this, Rabotai, requires mesirut nefesh, requires sacrifice. And some people sacrifice their time, some people sacrifice their money, some people sacrifice both. Point is, everybody's got to do something. And it's important that people know, especially the people that are watching from all over the world, Because it's very easy to feel comfortable that you're doing okay and forget that you're not, the world doesn't revolve around you. There are Jews everywhere else too that were in or are in the same position that you are that need more help. So Baruch Hashem, the shiurim are getting there, the subscribers are higher, but also as it comes with that, also the Yetzer Hara shows up. So now I'm going to tell you story number one. Story number one is, as you guys know, we don't hold any punches. We are equal opportunists against Reshaim. So we made a video, Ishtabach Shimo, some time ago, about a week or 2 weeks ago, that we highlighted a handful of Reshaim that are standing out in our mind on a daily basis. Manis the Menace, Dror the Bird, Goldberg and Company, and Lord Sachs. And we made a video about these 4 heretics. And Baruch Hashem, this video was very good wake-up call for a lot of people. But of course, what do the Reshaim want? Reshaim don't want you to expose them. So the one that Menace, we already had 4 videos against him. So what does he do? He targets my videos. He has a Google marketing that every video that I have, the first recommended video is his videos. So he's doing it smart. Goldberg doesn't seem like he cares. He works behind the scenes. He's like a little Haman behind the scenes. But Dror did something interesting. What did Dror do? He sent us messages and sent another friend of mine message that did a video against him. And he said, pretending like he's somebody else. One time he called himself Ol, another time he called himself Joshua, all types of names. And he said, I'm calling on behalf of Emunah Project, Rav Dror, and if you do not take off this video, we're going to file a complaint with, sue you through YouTube and sue you in the courts. You have to take off the video. So we said we'll review it. He said, no, I'm giving you 24, initially it was 48 hours. Then in the same text, he changed it to 24 hours. Or else we're going to shut you down. I said, well, you know, Jews usually, if there's a discrepancy, you're not allowed to go to court. If you go to court, you get nidui, you put on cherem. You take a Jew to court without getting permission from a bet din, you get put on cherem. Why? Because going to a civil court is chilul Hashem. And it's considered as if you violated the entire Torah going to court, going to secular court. As if the Torah does not have rules. So I said, you know, Jews, since you're representing the rabbi, Jews go to bet din. When they have a discrepancy, you have a discrepancy, we'll go to bet din. I know what you're saying, but no, we're not, we're going to court. You have 24 hours to act. So, that was Thursday night. Thursday afternoon, something like that. Ishtabach Shimo. Video has hit already several thousand hits in every different channel. Ishtabach Shimo. So I said, okay, this is good. I spoke to my Rav, and I said, so on one end, we didn't violate anything. It's allowed to do this. On the other end, I don't really feel like having a headache. Go to court, go this, go that. But third, this is a warning. You got to help people. What are you going to be quiet? Okay, just because you don't want a headache, you're not going to, you're just going to protect yourself. So Ephraim says to me the following. He says, when you did it, when you said what you said, did you do it for any personal agenda? I said, what personal agenda do I have? I don't even know the guy. I have nothing against the guy. I don't know him. I know what he says is a sin. What he says is against Torah. Telling people to go smoke marijuana, telling people that if the wife doesn't want to, Dror says, if the wife doesn't want to go to the mikveh, the husband's still allowed to go with her. Or if she doesn't want to keep Shabbat for shlom bayit purposes, you go to the beach with her on Shabbat. And if you want to sin, just go out of town, wear black. So he says, distorted different parts of the Gemara to his likings. Kfira Gemura. And if that's not enough, Rabotai Karim, on at least no less than 2 videos that I saw with my own eyes, he says he speaks to God, and God speaks to him back. He said, God spoke to me and told me thank you. So he says, God spoke to me today, and he's told me thank you. And then he tells a crowd of other people that unfortunately do not understand the difference between kasher and tameh. He tells them, yeah, when I have my visions and I see the world and I see the inner cells and the inner galaxies and I know all how everything works, like he turned himself into a mini god. And I use this to help people. This is what we call Navi Sheker. Gemara says, Navi Sheker chayav mitah. Why? It says in the Chumash. False prophet says, talks to God and God talks back to him. It's Navi Sheker. Person that says you're allowed to violate Shabbat for the sake of Shlom Bait. Who says that? Give me 1 per second who else says such a thing. So why am I just stay quiet? He says you did it for Shemaim, that means you do nothing. You leave it out there. He could do whatever he wants to do. We did what we did. So, we can't just stay quiet. So, Baruch Hashem, we drafted up some legal jargon, and BeEzrat Hashem, within the next few days, the video will be up again. And even more so, there's a video that's going to be, more videos going to be coming out. Why? It's time to fight the Reshaim. No gloves. Everything. Why? They're hurting people. You do work to help people do tshuva. They start watching rabbis. They think this guy may look righteous. He has a longer beard than you. The guy ends up starting to marry Goyot because the rabbi says it's okay, she's a nice girl. So, Rabotai Yekarim, it's very, very critical that you know that although this is definitely not my favorite part of what we do, it is a very necessary part that will continue. Why? It's necessary. It's necessary. And this is also part of the Jewish ideology. A person needs to know that Jewish ideology is not just about being nice to everyone. There's no such thing as being nice to everyone. As we learned from David HaMelech recently, you must hate Reshaim. And as Rav Shimon Lavi, who wrote the Piyut Bar Yochai, the famous Piyut Bar Yochai, the song that many Ashkenazi, Sfaradi, Litai, every Jewish custom usually sings this song on Friday nights, for sure on Lag BaOmer. The very, very famous song, Bar Yochai nimshachta ashrecha, shemen saso mechaverecha. That song, Rabotai, is full of Kabbalah secrets. Full of it. Why? Because the Chacham that wrote it was an enormous Chacham, one of the Gedolei Ador. His name was Rabbi Shimon Lavi. He wrote it about 500 years ago. And Rabbi Ephraim, God bless him, wrote commentary on this song, and it's full of Kabbalah secrets that many of the Chachamim discussed, including the Chida and many others. Now, Rabbi Shimon Lavi, he himself was lived in Tripoli for a good part of his life, but before that he was in Morocco. But the only reason why he was in Tripoli was because he decided to go to Eretz Yisrael, and he stopped in Tripoli. And the Chida says that after he got to Tripoli, he saw that the Jewish people in Tripoli were in such bad shape spiritually that he couldn't allow himself to leave. People were not keeping mitzvot. I'm going to go fulfill my own personal dream and go to Eretz Yisrael and have a bunch of Jews over here not even keeping Shabbat, not keeping Tarat Mishpacha, not keeping nothing. There's no teachers, no nothing. So one of the Gedolei Ador decided he's going to stay in Tripoli for the next 39 years. Built a Keilah with a lot of Chachamim, generation of generations. Baruch Hashem, that's where my ancestors are from. And he wrote many, many Sfarim. He was a Kabbalist. He wrote commentary on the Zohar. And he wrote the song of Bar Yochai and other things as well. And he says in his commentary on the Sefer, on the song Bar Yochai, he says, it talks about how Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai merited to elevate himself to higher than anyone else in his generation. Some aspects you see that he actually gets more recognition today than even Rabbi Akiva, his rabbi. And some of the reasons are actually detailed in this song. Detailed in this Bar Yochai song, we see that Bar Yochai was merited to have the anointed, became anointed like a Kohen Gadol, even though he was a Kohen. Still, he was anointed like a Kohen Gadol, like he had a tzitz. He says, you have a tzitz on your head. What is this tzitz? What is this tzitz? He says, just like the tzitz was used by the Kohen Gadol to help Am Yisrael do tshuva, to zealousness, to brazenness of Kedusha. The Kohen Gadol would help people do tshuva, get them to do tshuva. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was not afraid to tell people the truth, to tell them that what they're doing is wrong. His azut lekdusha was the reason why he got to such levels. A person needs to know that in order to get to a higher level in kedusha, a higher level in Torah, you must fight the wars of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So some of the heretics are going to tell you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need you to fight his wars. No, he doesn't, you idiot. No one said he did. But you get rewarded for doing it. The king of the army that has 1 trillion soldiers does not need you to fight for him. But if you do, you get rewarded. The reality is, Rabotai, the more you fight the wars of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the more HaKadosh Baruch Hu will gift you every single thing you can imagine and more. And the key is to know that those fights sometimes require you to do things you don't want to do. Say things that are not comfortable to say, because some people will get uncomfortable when you say that their rabbi is a rasha. And you have to explain to them why their rabbi is a rasha, and why they're mistaken for listening to him for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 years. They're mistaken for doing it. And if they're open, they'll see it and they'll change. If they're not open, you at least did your role. You tried to save them, they don't want to be saved, there's nothing you can do. This too, Rabotai, is a critical part of the Jewish ideology, where although everyone has to fight the wars of Hashem in a different way, everyone has to be supportive of it. If you can't fight the wars of Hashem, you have to support it. Why? You're going to show up in Shamayim, or the Mashiach is going to come and say, what'd you do for me? What'd you do for me? Did you at least fight the wars of Hashem? Oh no, I didn't, it was uncomfortable. You know, when I said something about MUSSAR in my Keilah, you know, they yelled at me, they said, you do this, you do that. Oh, so you stopped, that's it, one time. But when they told you, when you asked for the raise in the company, they said, no, you asked again next month. And when they said no, you asked again the next month. And when they said no, you just left and you got a different company. You went to a different company. Why? You didn't give up. So for money, you kept chasing and you kept fighting. For your wife, you asked on a date 15 times. For kids, you didn't stop trying. But for fighting for Hashem, one time you gave some CDs, somebody yelled at you, somebody this, somebody that, you gave up. What do you think? The fight for Hashem is going to be easier? There's a big reward for it. So this, Rabotai, is important. It's important because we have to know that when we do KIRUV, when we're sharing the authentic Torah, it's part of the wars of Hashem. Because you're bringing people Torah that they perhaps have never heard before. I had a dear friend of mine that's been watching our shiurim for a few years send me a message. He told me, he's like, listen, he did tshuva over 20 years ago. Keep Torah, learn halacha. Baruch Hashem, he helps some of our students learn halachot and different things. And he says to me, really a heartfelt message. He says, I don't understand. Where were you 20 years ago? I said, I didn't have merit. He said, yeah, but I only started doing tshuva now. Yeah, I did tshuva 20 years ago, kept Shabbat, so on. But once I started watching the shiurim, the last couple of years, when everything started kicking in. Why? Because, Rabotai, there is keeping mitzvot and there is doing tshuva. Tshuva means you have to change your ideology, your mindset. To serve Hashem, mi'alef ataf. From the beginning of your day until the end of the day. Everything you do, you connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu for it. And that's, in essence, the blueprint of the Jewish ideology. Now, the Chazon Ish said to us so far different comparisons of ways that we can see the wisdom of the Creator through His creation. He told us about the brain, the neshama, the different senses that we have in our body, the arms, the legs, the eyes. Now we're going to go and talk a little bit about the stomach. He says in the third section of chapter 1, further we see a sight that is enough to rouse the heart of any wise person. The internal structure of a human body enables it to accept food, digest it, break it down chemically into separate components, and send each component to its proper place. By way of the wisdom that human beings have been granted, we have learned the workings of the abdomen and the stomach, the liver and the gallbladder, the spleen and the kidneys, the intestines and the bladder, the heart and the brain. Each organ has its special functions, and they all work in marvelous coordination to sustain the proper blood composition, namely the right amount of red and white blood cells necessary to the continued existence of the machine called the human being. So, here the Chazon Ish is telling you, we've seen so much wisdom, but now, for all that haven't been convinced yet, or all that need even more chizuk, he says, let's go into something that we fail to appreciate enough until it stops working, until it has issues. Look at the wisdom that you have just from your digestive system. How no matter what you eat, it turns to blood. No matter what you chew, it's going to go into the same tube, it's going to go into the right place, it's going to be digested, there's going to be special chemicals released to deal with each and every different food that you have. It's not all just one size fits all chemical. There's a specific unique chemicals that are released to digest the meat. There are different chemicals to digest the fruits and vegetables. There are different chemicals to deal with all types of other, whether it be candy or breads or cakes and all types of other things that you eat. Everything has its own unique designated soldiers that are coming to deal with it, coming to pick the best of. Oh, cake, let's see, what do you got in here? Okay, you're good, 95% no good. Okay, it goes out. Okay, fruit, 95% good, 5% no good, out. And every one of these chemicals goes and does what it does like a loyal army that you have inside you. And the beautiful part of it all is even further when you realize that you have so many different body parts that are dealing with this digestive system. You have the small intestine, the big intestine, the stomach acids in there, you have the gallbladder, the kidneys, all of these different body parts are working together. After it does this, it goes here. After it does that, it goes here. After every one of them is working together. And you need every single one of those body parts to BeEzrat Hashem work in stellar speed, without slowing down, without taking a day off, without taking a vacation. Because the minute one of them decides, you know what, today, I'm going to nap today. I'm going to take a day off. It's a holiday. I'm going to take a day off. You have a problem. Now, Chazon Ish says, these special functions, they all work in marvelous coordination to sustain this whole journey that the food has, to turn it into red blood cells, white blood cells, to make sure the blood continues to move, and so on. The blood sugar level is also regulated, as are all other components that must be in exact relationship in quantities. If there's too much blood, if there's too little, if there's too much acid, if there's too little, if your stomach has just 1% more acid, you start having ulcers, holes in your stomach. Too little, the food doesn't get digested. So everything has to be precise. Precise. Now, the scientists and philosophers were baffled for centuries about the argument that they could never understand. How is it that the stomach has the acids that break down the meat that you eat, whether it's chicken or it's beef, whether it's kosher or it's not? Breaks it down, releases the stuff that's not good, the stuff that's good, keeps it, but it doesn't digest itself, because after all, it is a piece of meat. If you go to some of these different restaurants, you'll see that they'll serve you stomach. It's a food. Middle Eastern dishes, bana and kukla. Horrible to smell when you're making it, but delicious when you eat it. You know why, right? Because when they're making it, they have to get all the waste out of it. So you have all the tsoah, all the waste, all the filth from the animal. But once they clean it up, they cook it, they put the seasoning, delicious. Delicious. My mom, God bless her, she used to make it for us when we were kids for Pesach. It was a special dish. The whole house would smell for 2 days. But after it's finished, what a dish. What a dish. Now, a person understands that this is a piece of meat. How come the acids don't eat the meat? Don't destroy the meat. Don't break down the meat. That's actually the stomach. So the truth is that HaKadosh Baruch Hu in His infinite wisdom made sure that the acid work in a certain way that it does eat the meat. It does break down the meat of the stomach. But the stomach reproduces its cells and regenerates just as slightly faster than it goes down. Meaning, 500 million cells are destroyed, 500 million and one cells are reproduced. To make sure you're constantly, okay, you're break even at all times. Once there's a slowdown in the system, there's too much acid, or the stomach has some type of issue, then you have problems. That's why you have all these different digestive diseases, Baruch Hashem, that I've enjoyed over the last almost 20 years, and many others unfortunately enjoy, whether it be Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome that pretty much torture your life for half the day. These fantastic things, Rabotai Karim, are gifts from Hashem. I promise you. Even though they're a torture to deal with, they're gifts. Why they're gifts? The Gemara says someone that obviously learns Torah, does mitzvot and so on, but suffers from problems in the stomach, doesn't see pnei genom. Why? The suffering you have from the stomach will wipe out a lot of your sins. People that understand what genom is, pray for this. Rabbi HaKadosh prayed for this. Suffered for years. For years. He suffered so much. Rabbi HaKadosh, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, the Baal Mishnah, the father of our oral Torah that we have today. When he would go to the bathroom, he was very rich. Gemara says he'd make sure to tell the guy that was managing his horses. He had 500 horses. Tell him, feed them now. Feed them now, and then you go to the bathroom. Why? Because when horses eat, they make a lot of noise. So imagine 500 horses going, that's a lot of noise. And he says the suffering from Rabbi HaKadosh was so extraordinary that he would scream so loud, not only it would be louder than the horses, they would hear his screams in the middle of the ocean. That's how much he suffered. Did Rabbi HaKadosh ever complain? No. Why? He understood the value of suffering. Anyway, but people today, they unfortunately, it's a hard thing to deal with, but you have to be strong to deal with it. You have to be very strong to deal with it, because being weak, complaining about it, will never help you. Some people get blessed and it goes away. Some people don't, but either way, all of those people understand the value of the stomach. One recent new follower of our shiurim saw our personal story, started watching the shiurim, and connected to the part of the personal story about sickness. I said, why? He sent me a picture of himself and how he has a cancer in his stomach. So because of that, they had to connect a tube that's double the size of my hose outside for the water to his stomach. That's what he has. A hose connected to his stomach. Shem yishmor v'yatzil. You know what kind of suffering that is? But he's living with it. And it's going to help him a lot. If he does complete tshuva, it's going to be the best thing that ever happened to him. But you have to understand, you have to be at a level to understand that. You have to be at a level to understand it, because sometimes we have a pain, we complain about it. Complaining about it never helps. What helps? Understanding that there's a value to it. So, anyway, when a person loses the normal usage of their stomach, whether it be by Crohn's or irritable bowel syndrome or chas v'shalom cancer, or any of these very, very difficult diseases that for the most part are not curable, at least not yet, by traditional medicine, they understand the value of the stomach that a lot of people do not. When you go to the bathroom and it just goes out easy and everything is easy for you, you have no idea what I'm talking about. You have no idea why I just expanded on this point for 15 minutes. Don't ask too many questions. I promise you, you don't want to. You don't want Hashem to give you that example of why he just expanded on this story for 15 minutes. You do not want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to explain to you why you have to say Asher Yatzar, the blessing, after you go to the bathroom, every time. Not one time for the whole day. Like, so one guy told me, listen, can I just do one Asher Yatzar for the whole day? Say, if you go to the bathroom one time the whole day, yes. He goes, no, I go to the bathroom like a lot. I go, I don't know, a bunch of times. Sometimes too much. I said, so every time you go to the bathroom. Well, why? I said, because every time it's a miracle. You want Hashem to show you why? You want Hashem to show you why it's a miracle? Well, stop working. Let's see how you like it. Or it'll work in a different way, where instead of liquid coming out of your urethra, there's going to be a few stones coming out instead. How are you going to like that one? You think it's going to be fun? Some people say it's the worst pain that exists for a man. It's like giving birth. Or maybe every time you go to the bathroom, you go to number 2, you're going to scream, yell. Why? Because you feel like you're giving birth also. Because every time you go, it's like you went 7 times, 8 times, 9 times. You want that one instead? Whole toilet's full of blood. You want that one? Or no, Rabbi, I'll just Yatzar. Oh, okay, Baruch Hashem. Tzaddik, Chazak u'Baruch. You gave me chizuk. Thank you. Chazak u'Baruch. What chizuk? What Baal Tshuva you are. What a Baal Tshuva you are. Shh. You didn't need example from Hashem. It's a real Baal Tshuva be'emet. Why? Most people say, no, why is it too big? You're machmir. I'm going to go to Dror. He said you could do once a year. Rabotai, you don't want HaKadosh Baruch Hu to tell you why you say Asher Yatzar every time. Why? Because it's a miracle. The fact that it doesn't matter what you eat, it goes out, miracle. Goes out without pain, even more miracle. Think about it. You ate a steak the size of your head. How come it doesn't come out the same size? You say, well, I chewed it, smaller pieces. Yeah, but let's say, okay, you chewed it in pieces, but down there is an acid, maybe the shakshuka, put it together, dough it together, so we're back to one piece. With the potatoes, with the tomatoes, with the candy, with everything, one piece. No. How come it's soft? The apple you ate, the dish you ate, the candy you ate, how come? Because HaKadosh Baruch Hu is merciful. HaKadosh Baruch Hu is merciful. You should thank Him for that. Person that doesn't understand that, too stupid to deal with. It's important. Chazon Ish figures it's so important, he writes a part of his sefer to talk about it. The miracles of your stomach. So now the Chazon Ish says, humans, a tipesh libo, they're stupid hearts they have. They're generally oblivious of the host of forces that are standing guard and working tirelessly and continuously to sustain their lives. People are completely oblivious of the amount of miracles that happen every single second that you breathe. The fact that there's air in the world enough for all of us to breathe is unbelievable. It really is. You think about it. A few generations ago, there was less people than today. And a few generations before that, there was less people than then. And so on and so forth. But yet, no matter how much the world grows in population, whether it's 1 billion, 2 billion, 3 billion, there is always precisely the right amount of oxygen in the world. That's unbelievable. Why? Anyone that understands a little bit about the mechanics of the world knows that if there is a little bit more oxygen than what we have right now, the world becomes flammable. You light a cigarette, boom! Not boom for you, boom for the whole world. Meaning that no matter how much the world has grown in population, HaKadosh Baruch Hu systematically and methodically and with his infinite wisdom made sure there's always the right amount of air. No one. Everyone has the right amount of air. Everyone has it. No problem. Ishtabach Shimo. That's a miracle. The fact that you could eat, no matter how many people always worry about, oh, there's not going to be enough food, coronavirus. Who starved to death? You know who starved to death? People in hospitals. Because of some wicked nurses that are racist or against people or just sick-minded. One Jewish guy, died in a nursing home, but he left a letter that he found in his pocket. His son found it. He saw the letter. He says, my son, I want you to know, I didn't die from coronavirus. I died because they starved me for 3 days. The starvation killed me, not coronavirus. This was din from Shamayim. Suffering is going to help him in Olam Haba. Surely it's depressing, surely it's horrible, but Rabotai, no matter how many people complain and cry about it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, if he wants to give us food, he'll give us food. If he doesn't want to give us food, he's not going to give us food. People worry, no, I'm going to store up, I'm going to buy everything, I'm going to eat this, I'm going to do it. You don't have to worry about anything. If you're going to starve, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's going to happen. If HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides that a person is going to starve, you're going to starve. If a person is going to decide you're not going to starve, you're not going to starve. What's the proof from the Torah? The time of Elisha Navi. There was famine in the world. There was famine. You know what famine is? Famine is there is no food. Not you can't buy it on Amazon. There's no food. One family, 10 people, 1 potato. If they're rich. If they're rich. My grandfather, God bless him, had a family, and he not only had his family, his kids, my mom and her sisters, I think there were 7, 8 among them, plus the parents, 10 people, plus the grandparents. Came home, 1 egg. Gave egg. Here's the egg for the kids. 8 kids, eat 1 egg. And he gave 1 egg to his wife, to my safta. 1 egg. She said, okay. He said, Da'irato. Saba Gibli, Mischuto Yagen Alenu, Tzaddik. Eat it though. Because you know you have to take care of the kids, pregnant, and so on. No, take it. Okay. Eat it though. Okay. She needed it. What'd she do? She gave it to her parents. Fast another day. That's famine, I believe. That's not food. We complain, I don't have the right granola bars in the house. What am I going to eat? Cereal again? What do I have? Cocoa flakes, Poco flakes, Tuku flakes, 8 different flakes of cereals. Cereal again? Did you buy milk? Yeah, it's fresh. Okay, Chalav Yisrael? Okay, fine, all right. They complain because they don't have the right granola bar. They complain because they don't have the right this. That's what we complain about. At the time of Elisha Navi, there was no food, period. Then the prophet said, that's it. HaKadosh Baruch Hu says there's going to be food. So much food that tomorrow there's going to be so much food that the value of food will drop by 99%. Meaning there's going to be so much of it that it's going to be like sand. You're going to go from no food at all, where to buy a potato, you have to give a house. Either a house or potato. Now it's going to go the opposite. It's going to be like enough food, but it's going to be like sand. Now one of the Gdolim over there, one of the politicians over there, started laughing at Elisha Navi. Come on, new prophet. Listen, I understand you're a holy person and everything, but don't you think you're exaggerating a little bit? What did you learn from Rabbi Reuven? Exaggerating a little bit. No, okay, let's say you're right, and let's say something comes tomorrow, a few people are going to get some potatoes, but no, it's going to go down. You have to add the extra umph The screaming, you have to say it 99% down. Oh, no, come on, Elisha. Elisha Navi looks at him and he says, Rasha, you don't believe in Hashem. And because of that, you're going to see the food, but you're not going to benefit from it. Why? You don't have emunah in Hashem. The next day, this politician is walking outside the camp. He starts seeing the two people that were kicked out of the camp because they had sarat. They're running towards the camp. They're not allowed to come to the camp, but they're running towards the camp. Come, come, come. What do you want? The enemy just disappeared. The enemy that was surrounding the city disappeared, and they left everything there. There's a huge amount of food. The people heard it, and they all started running around the road. They ran over this politician. He saw the food, but he didn't benefit from it. Why? No emunah in Hashem. No emunah in Hashem. So it's important that we know in the Torah there are many places. In the Chumash alone there's no less than 10 places that HaKadosh Baruch Hu rebukes the people for not having emunah in Him. Why? Because emunah is part of the ideology. People are worried so much about starving and this and that. The reality is HaKadosh Baruch Hu decides all of this. He decides what parnasah you have. This is one of our 10 remembrances. Every day you have to remember HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives parnasah, gives parnasah. This doesn't mean you should just live on a miracle and just say, no, I'm just going to, I have what? I have one piece of bread. No, Hashem's going to send me man. No, no one's saying to do that. You do your ishtadlut, you go to the store, you be normal and so on. But don't go crazy. And if you are going crazy, then at the very least work on your emunah. Say, okay, I'm crazy still. I still don't have any emunah. My emunah is a little baby emunah. I'm still stacked enough food for 10 years in my house. No, okay, fine. But at the very least, what I learned from this, I have no emunah, so I'll work on the emunah. So hopefully, I'll buy less next time. You can be realistic with yourself. It's not you don't have to punish yourself for not having emunah, but be realistic to work on it. Anyway, Rabotai Karim, the food that people eat, they enjoy, and the Chazon Ish says they're oblivious to how many miracles have to take place in order for all of this food to be digested, to turn into blood, to turn into vitamins, to turn into different things that you need in order for this machine to work. And when a person understands the forces that are working for him, all of these different things that HaKadosh Baruch Hu instilled into the body, any normal person should do tshuva immediately. Rabbi Yaron says, I don't understand how any of these biologists, on the first day of their class, when they're dissecting a frog, they don't do tshuva on the spot. Once you dissect anything, you see the mechanics of a worm. You see the mechanics of a frog. You see the mechanics of anything you dissect. You look at it. You see how all of this tiny little thing has a stomach, has a liver, has this, has that. Nothing in the world could sustain itself without food. Everything has to have some type of food. Even the smallest, creepiest little creatures have to have food. Everything has to have something. Nothing can last. Nothing can survive without food. When you see how it digests the food and how it processes everything and how it contains it and uses it for energy and so on and so forth, that alone, just the mechanics of how its brain tells the rest of its body, however small or big it is, to do all of these different things, that alone should make every biologist do tshuva on day one. For a person to say that they think that they came from a monkey after seeing the body parts of any living being, they literally have to be crazy. They should be put in an institution. Why? If I told you that I showed up here and there was nothing here before, but suddenly, right before you guys arrived, a wind came, rocks from all four corners of the world were put together and built this building with the floors, and on top of it there was paint on the walls and the light fixtures and everything else. You guys are going to tell me and say, Rabbi, I think something happened. We're going to send you. We love you. We're going to take you. We'll take care of you. We'll take care of you, Rabbi. We love you. We'll take care of you. Come. I'll be the one to feed you. He'll change your diaper. What are you talking about? It came by itself. What's the matter with you? No, it wasn't the building. It was the camera. The camera. Sonny didn't bring the camera. It was the whole scam. He's pretending. He makes it look realistic. But in reality, he doesn't bring anything. Every time he shows up magically, there's different, there's a wind on the way, on the traffic, because he drives really fast. Sonny, dangerous driver. He drives so fast that all of the metal from the streets follows his car. By the time he arrives here, like a transformer, turns to a camera, and it not only does that, it puts itself on the stender. Both cameras. Every time 2 cameras for some reason. I don't know why it's not 3 cameras, but every time it's 2 cameras. You gotta tell me, Sonny, we'll feed you guys. So, never gonna happen. So how come there are literally millions of fools that claim that a much more sophisticated creation created itself? If any person understood any member of your body, any part of your body, whether it be the liver or the lungs or the heart or the brain or anything, you'd simply see that this had to be designed perfect on the one shot. And not only that, all of these things had to be designed at the same time. Why? Your body couldn't have evolved from multiple stages. Why? You wouldn't survive a half a second without lungs. You wouldn't survive a half a second without a heart. You wouldn't survive a half a second without a stomach. And that stomach is so perfect, it has to be done perfect on the first shot. Why? Because if the acid is too much on day 1, that's it, no more stomach. And guess what? The second a person dies, that stomach, that magical thing that we call our stomach, that always regenerates and helps itself regenerates because it's killing itself at the same time, but at the same rate to make sure that you don't have holes in your stomach, the second a person dies, that stops working. And the stomach starts destroying itself until the acids completely destroy the stomach. How come it didn't do that a week before? How come it didn't do that 10 years before? How come it didn't do that 20 years before? How come it's only a second after he dies? It's no longer regenerating. How come it's, continues for a little while? It's been going for so long. Got used to it, no? Get used to it. You start running, even to slow down takes you a little while. No, stops on the spot. Like somebody took out the socket. How come? It had to be designed perfect on the first second. The heart could never pump the blood at a different rate, at a different speed than you need in order to live. It couldn't just start slowly and then build up, like the evolutionists think. The brain couldn't have been a developed thing. Why? It had to be perfect on day 1 to operate all of the other things. So yeah, you can live without arms, and you can live without legs, and you can live without eyes, but all of the mechanics that make those things move, impossible. To live without it for a second. But yet there are so-called smart people that believe this stupidity. And unfortunately, there are some naive religious people who say, well, it does make sense what he says. Why? What would make sense? What exactly did he say makes sense? All right, it just sounded really good. Oh, you mean he's a good speaker? Haman was also a good speaker. You know who's the best speaker in the last 150 years? Hitler, Yimach Shemo. Hitler is the best speaker in the last 150 years. The only reason I say only in the last 150 years, I don't know anybody before that. I'm pretty sure he's probably the best speaker of all time. If you listen to a speech by Hitler, you don't need to know the language. Something happens. You start getting motivated, do something. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to start cleaning the house. I'm going to kill somebody. I'm going to get married. I'm going to do something. I don't know. This guy's motivating. I have no idea what he's saying. You don't know he's actually talking about you to kill you. But, no, I'm going to do. Mamash, he had koch satan in him. Mamash koch satan in him. Now I'm a speaker. I taught speakers for over 20 years. I can appreciate speakers. I'm telling you, unbelievable. Mamash koch satan. People are listening to the Satan every day. Tell them that they came from some amoeba. Tell them they came from some molecule. Tell them they came from some chicken or lizard that came to my house last week. The foolishness of people. No, but it took a long time. What difference does it make? Long time, little time. Does it make a difference? It can never go to step one. But people don't pay attention to that. They think that if something takes a long time, eventually it works. They think that if they're married for long enough, eventually they're going to like each other. It doesn't work that way. If you don't work on your marriage every single day, guess what? You're going to hate each other a lot more in 50 years than you do today. If you work on your marriage every day, in 50 years, you're going to be more in love in 50 years than you are today. Time doesn't make things better. Work does. So now the Chazon Ish says, one of the joys of wisdom is to contemplate the connection between life and air. Its elements being oxygen and carbon dioxide, the agent acting between the human being and the air is the seven-lobed lung, which was given the ability to breathe the oxygen into the body so that the living body, the blood, the flesh, the bones, the sinews, can be maintained. The lung is one of the body's many soldiers in the battle for life. We'll talk about the lung probably next week. But here we see, Rabotai, that the genius in our stomach is enough for us to do tshuva. Now, a person that does not recognize the wisdom of the creation and does not value the wisdom of the creation, unfortunately what they do to themselves is that they're asking for a private shiur. Because the Creator, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, even his own patience has to be limited by himself. Not that his patience is limited, he has to limit himself in order to save us from our own foolishness. Now, he knows that if he does nothing, that person is guaranteeing themselves doom, permanent doom. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu does different things in order to wake up a person. Now, I have to ask you guys a question. What do you think, out of my personal story, which involves different things, money, health issues, tshuva, conversions, the emet, fighting against people that are not telling the truth, all types of different things that people get out of it, ambition, Wall Street, all types of stuff. Why do you think there's almost over 1 million people, or at least cliques, have enjoyed it? Countless people have said that it's changed their life, but these people are from all walks of life. Some are Jews, some are non-Jews, some are old, some are young, some were religious, some were not religious and became religious. But no matter who watches the movie, if they're watching it with an unbiased eye, and they watch the whole thing, generally at the end of it, they're very, very inspired. Now, which part do you think they're motivated by the most? No? Who wants to volunteer and answer? No? Joshua is doing me a favor and raising his hand. No? Why? Joshua says the physical suffering that I went through, Baruch Hashem, and the monetary loss. Now your answer is right. The question is why? Why do they care about that? Why can everybody relate to it? No, give me the final answer. You're all right, but you have to know why you're right. You can't just, this is not lotto. Now, if I tell you now, if I had my first shiur, and I told you a story, I gave the shiur of Genom. Pirkei Avot number 84, Genom. Now I know everybody that showed up to that lecture was scared permanently. Till this day, they still have a little bit of nightmares. It's good. Tens of thousands of people have watched that shiur, and every single one of them, I believe, has done tshuva. But if that was the shiur, if every shiur was about Genom, would it be more successful or less successful? Now, from some of our videos, it looks like every shiur is about Genom. It's not true, though. If you actually watch the whole shiur, it's not about Genom the whole time. There's just a few clips in it that I scare you guys. The rest of it is not. But if every shiur was just about Genom, every shiur, just Genom, 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 would that be more successful or less successful? Less successful. Why? Okay, so now we're going to combine both answers. What is more scary for people? Genom or toothache? Toothache. Why? Genom is scary, it's far away, but if you don't constantly think about it, and you don't constantly delve over it, eventually becomes a distant memory. Toothache, I can relate to right now. I've had toothaches. I don't want a toothache. I actually had a toothache earlier, just a few days ago. Toothache's not fun. Toothache's not fun. Nobody wants a toothache. Everybody knows that once you have a toothache, it doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter your shoe size. It doesn't matter if you're black or white. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish or not Jewish. Toothache, you can't function. Can't function. One guy said, "No, listen, this tooth is not going to take over. I'm going to beat this tooth. I'm not going to submit. I'm not going to the dentist. I'm going to continue." Guess what? He passed out from pain. There's no way to beat it other than going to the dentist. People are scared of toothaches much more than Genom. Why are they more scared of toothaches much more than Genom? Because they can relate to it. They can relate to it in their life. They've seen it. They have felt it. So when people see that someone suffered physical pain in different uncomfortable body parts, pain that is unlike anything that they've heard other than stories from the Holocaust, and they understand that this can happen to anyone. Because it wasn't like I was living in some third world country, underfed and abused, or I was in some Holocaust camp. I was the opposite. And the reality is, it shows how much of a nothing I am, how much of a nothing people are in comparison to just this tiny little thing that HaKadosh Baruch Hu can send you. Tiny little thing. One cell doesn't work. One nerve doesn't work. One nerve works too much, and so on and so forth. Everyone can relate to it. Of course, they can also relate to money loss. Everybody's scared to lose their money. They work so hard for it. They're scared to lose their money. Now this, Rabotai, is a very, very important thing to know, but it's also mentioned in our Torah. Where? In the movie that we watched today. Anyone that hasn't watched it, you should watch it. Rav Ephraim says, notice the chidush of this Baraita by Avot Rabbi Natan, which a movie is called Yetzer Tov versus Yetzer Hara, and it reads this Baraita, where it says, Yetzer Hara, כיצד אמרו 13 שנה גדול יצר הרע מיצר הטוב, that the evil inclination, the sages said the evil inclination of a person is 13 years older than the good inclination. And it talks about how for the first 13 years the person does different things. He gets accustomed to violating Shabbat. He gets accustomed to doing all types of sins. And the Yetzer Hara doesn't bother him, obviously, because the Yetzer Hara likes that he's doing all these sins. And the Yetzer Hara is not there. The Yetzer Tov, the good inclination, is not even there yet. He's not even born yet until he's 13 years old for the guy, or 12 for the girl. But once he gets to that age, and the Yetzer Tov is born, the Yetzer Tov says, empty one! What are you doing? You're violating Shabbat. Don't you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Mechalelea mot yumat, that someone that violates Shabbat is going to kill him? He says, empty one, what are you doing? Committing immorality. Don't you know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, Al yotze dam ma'adam, damo yishafech? Mutzi dam ma'adam ba'adam, damo yishafech? Don't you know that spilling seed, committing immorality, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says he's going to spill your blood. So Rabbi Ephraim says, look at the chidush here. What is the Yetzer Tov telling this person that's sinning? Is he telling him about Gehenom? Is he telling him Kafakela? Is he telling him, listen, Hashem's going to swing you from one end to the other? You tell him it's going to be... No, what is he telling him? Tell him, listen, you idiot. He's going to kill you. You fool. He's going to spill your blood. You fool. You're going to sin. You're going to have physical pain. Physical pain. You want pain? No. Okay, do tshuva. Okay. This is, Rabotai, what our Yetzer Tov constantly tells us. We need to understand a lot of things in a way that we can relate to. But at the same token, come the Chachamim and tell us many, many different aspects of the supernatural, of the mystical, of the things that are afterlife. Why? A balance of both. To know about heaven, to know about Gehenom, to know about cancer, to know about AIDS, to know about all the different things. Because the balance of all of these things, if a person learns about them and develops the right foundation of fear, he can start building a better quality fear. Once you have a good foundation of fear of Hashem, you're afraid to lose, you're afraid to get hurt, you're afraid to get to a bad place. Now you can build a relationship with Hashem to get to a better quality of fear. What's the better quality of fear? A fear of hurting your relationship between you and Hashem. Just like a fear of hurting your relationship between you and your spouse. You're not afraid that your spouse is going to hit you physically. If you and her are normal, you're not afraid of that. What are you afraid of? If you try to have a good relationship, you're afraid of hurting each other. Emotionally, yelling, screaming, cursing, all sorts of things that people do to each other when they don't pay attention. So a person needs to make sure that they don't hurt each other in a relationship. Needless to say, if a person has a good foundation of fear of losing in this world and the next, he can now get to a higher level of fear, which is fear of hurting the connection between him and Hashem, her and Hashem. But you can't get to the second level without the first level. This is why the Yetzer Tov at 13 years old tells him, listen, you go against Hashem, he's going to hurt you physically. He's going to give you a pain in the most uncomfortable part of your body. You're going to curse the day you were born. And you can't just stop it. Oh, stop it, Hashem, I'll do tshuva. It doesn't work that way. Hashem doesn't dance to your tune. Once you force Hashem's hand, that's it. You're lucky if it stops ever. So, that's why, Rabotai, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends different Chachamim, different Nevi'im, different people with different skills to help Am Yisrael do tshuva. But the most successful way has always been what the Yetzer Tov is doing, which is scaring people. Why? That is, Rabotai, the number one motivator for human beings. In fact, the number one motivator for all beings, all living beings, are driven by fear. You go to the woods, you start seeing a bunch of animals running, but they're not about to eat you, they've run past you, they're scared of something. What? Could be an animal, a predator, a fire. That's what's motivating them to care less about you with or without your gun, and they're running past you. Why? Because they're scared of something much worse than you. You start seeing people run into the store, careless, start taking stuff. They're scared of something much more than the police. Scared of starvation, scared of something else. You start seeing people lock themselves up in a house for 2 months. They're scared of something much more than they're scared of each other's company. Fear is a very critical tool that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has instilled in every one of its beings. And to instill fear in people is important, but only if it's the right fear. Because the Gemara says, someone who instills fear in people just for his own sake, for them to be scared of him, for them to be scared of her. Doesn't matter if it's a man or woman. Doesn't even matter if it's for a public or even for your own family. Mother just makes her kids scared for no reason. Father makes the kids and the wife scared just for no reason. The wife makes the husband scared just for no reason. She wants him, he'll respect me. Why? Because I come from such and such family. He'll respect me because I do this, this, and that. He'll show respect because I'm the man. One of these Arab mentality people, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, I hate you. That's what the Gemara says. It's one of the few people in the world, HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, somebody instills fear into the people for no reason, for his own sake, Hashem hates him. Why? You're misusing my number one tool. How do we know it's his number one tool? Gemara, Masechet Shabbat, says, Yirat Hashem iotzaro. The fear of Hashem, that's his treasure. It's his treasure, that's his number one tool, fear. So anyone that comes to you and tells you, no, you're just instilling fear in people, this MUSSAR is instilling fear in people. Where do you live, in planet Mars? What do they use in Mars over there? What do they use? Gummy bears? How do you live? Why'd you eat today? I was hungry. So what? Don't eat. Show the hunger that you could beat it. You're stronger than the hunger. Don't eat. No, I have to eat. Why? I'm scared I'm going to die. Oh, so you're scared. Fear does work, doesn't it? Hold your breath for 10 minutes. No, why? I'm afraid I'm going to die. Oh, so you're scared. I thought fear is bad. No, it's not that type of fear. What do you mean? Why are you picking and choosing? Fear is fear. Fear is a tool that HaKadosh Baruch Hu uses. But if you misuse it, Hashem Yishmo v'yatzil. Now many people like the stories of the Hasidim. I'm going to tell you stories of the Hasidim. The Baal Shem Tov had a famous Talmid, the Magid Mezrich. The Magid Mezrich had some famous Talmidim, and it was brothers, Rabbi Zusha, Minapoli, and Rabbi Elimelech Milezhinsk. Now, Rabbi Zusha was known, both of them were tzaddikim, miracle makers, something out of this world. But Rabbi Zusha was a very, very unique person. His way of helping people do tshuva was very unique. He was as poor as dirt, but everyone knew he has Ruach HaKodesh. And he was as happy as can be. And everything he would say, Zusha this, Zusha that. He would always compare everything to himself. Anytime somebody would ask him a question in the Torah, he'd tell him 1 minute. He'd go into a room and start crying to Hashem, smashing his head against the wall. I need to understand this. I need to understand this. Or you're going to kill me, Hashem. Either I understand what the question is. You tell me the real emet on this question, or just kill me. Take me from this world. Smash his head on the wall if he didn't understand the question. 5 minutes later, here's the answer. One of the Talmidim found out what is he doing in this room. Peeked in, saw that the rabbi is smashing his head against the wall because he wanted to know the answer so much. That's how much he was willing to die for Torah. Next day, came, no questions. He goes, Rabbi Zusha says to them, what happened? What's your question? No, Rabbi, no questions. What? You know the entire Torah? No. That's it? No, I just, why? Why no questions today? Why? He got it out of him. He goes, no. You don't worry about Zusha. You ask your questions. Ask your questions. So Rabbi Zusha Minapoli, Kodesh Kodashim, he had a unique way to do KIRUV. You know how? Ooh, what a KIRUV way. What a KIRUV way he had. I wish I had this. Maybe I do. Rabbi Zusha Minapoli. Rabbi Zusha Minapoli had a fantastic way to do KIRUV. What a way. So, somebody would come and, he'd know this guy's a Rasha. How do you know he's a Rasha? That's what you know when the guy has Ruach HaKodesh. When you have Ruach HaKodesh, you know a lot of things. So he was next to him. He didn't know him. Next to him, he sensed this guy, Noef, adulterer. This, that. So Rabbi Zusha would say, all of a sudden, stop what he's doing and start praying to Hashem. Says, Zusha, what a Rasha you are. Starts talking about himself. Zusha, Zusha, what a Rasha you are. Yesterday at such and such time, you went with a married woman. What did you do, Zusha? What Hashem is going to do to you? Zusha, Zusha, what is Hashem going to do to you? After you saw her, you went and you ate non-kosher food. Hashem Yishmor. Zusha, what Hashem is going to do to you? And he starts listing every single thing the guy did that day. And the guy is listening, and he's talking about him or he's talking about me? Why? It's everything that he's saying is what happened to him for the last week. He's listing every single sin he made. All the skeletons are running in the street from the closet. There's no closets, they're all open. After he stops crying, he says, Rabbi, please help me. I need to do tshuva. You need to do tshuva too. Come do tshuva with me. Zusha, Zusha. He starts mentioning all the sin. The guy starts crying hysterical to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Why? He knows that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching. He finally understands that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is watching. One time a guy comes to Rabbi Zusha. Now, sometimes they don't look like a Rasha. They'll look like a gangster with tattoos on their face, biker jacket or something. Sometimes they come to you with a beard. Nice jacket, look Hasidish, looks this, looks that. Says Kvod Arav. Yeah, I just don't. You see that building? Yeah. Who do you think did it? Who do you think built that big Knesset? They come to you with their mitzvot on their, like it's an army. They have, in the army, they put a medallion for everything that you did. They come to you with their mitzvot, like their medallions. They tell you this big Knesset, that big Knesset, this Torah, that Torah. So one of these Reshaim fakers comes to Rabbi Zusha. And he says, Rabbi, give me a chidush. Sometimes the people are bored. They do nothing. Coronavirus, Corona-19, they're sitting at home all day. They send me text messages. Can you tell me the purpose of life? Is this kosher? Is this not kosher? Why can't you look on the internet? Why did I become Rabbi Google? Go look for it. People are so lazy. But sometimes it's because of lack of respect for Talmidei Chachamim. So this clown comes to Rabbi Zusha and says, Rabbi, give me a chidush. He says, no, chidush. No, come on, no, give me a chidush, Rabbi. No, I want to learn, right? Oh, you want to learn? Okay. What do you want to learn? I want a chidush. What do you want a chidush about? What insight you want? I don't know, a verse in the Torah. He says, pick a verse in the Torah. Pick a verse in the Torah. Take a Tanakh, open a Tanakh, and pick a verse. So the guy opened it, it comes up to Tehillim, he looks at Tehillim number 10, verse number 3. He says, Rabbi, give me a chidush on this. It says, Ki hilel rasha ta'avat nafsho botzea boreach nietz Adonai. It says, why do you stand aloof when the wicked man glories in his personal desire and the robber praises himself that he has blasphemed Hashem? Give me a chidush about this one. He says, let me tell you what this verse means. Zusha. You know what Zusha did? Zusha has desires. Zusha is such a Rasha, he has desires. But he wants to pretend he's like Hillel, like it says. Ki Hillel, who's Hillel? He's tzaddik. But in reality, he has desires, so he's really a Rasha. But he wants to pretend he's Hillel. So why do you know what Zusha did? Oh, I'm going to tell you what Zusha did. Zusha just yesterday in the afternoon on such and such time, he saw some girl that he liked that wasn't his girlfriend, that wasn't his wife, it was actually somebody else's wife, and he took her behind the building. Zusha took somebody else's wife behind the building. And he says, listen, I'm a humble man, I don't know, I can't afford, I can't this. Let's do it, let's do it inside the garbage can. And he was hiding in the garbage can with somebody else's wife. That's how much of a Rasha he is. That's how much he desecrated Hashem's name. What a Rasha. What do you think of Zusha? The guy starts hysterical crying. Why? That's everything he did yesterday. The guy was an adulterer, pretending to be a tzaddik. So Zusha told him, that's the pirush, because he said, how did you get this from the pasuk? He says, look, it says Hillel Rasha Tavat Nafsho. It says Hillel pretends to be, who's Hillel? He's tzaddik, but in reality he's Rasha. Why is Rasha? Because of Tavat Nafsho, because he cannot control his desires. Someone can be Hillel, can be born Hillel, but if he can't control his desires, Rashahu. And that's why He wants to pretend he's Hillel. So he does it behind, not in the open, pretends to be a donor, pretends to be a tzaddik. That's what Zusha does. The guy understood it's not Zusha. It's not Zusha. You see, Rabotai Karim, a person understands that when a Kadosh Baruch Hu is watching, he has to act differently. And sometimes he has to pay attention to the things that are moving his body, the things that are in front of him. Now, you have to rebuke yourself. You have to make sure that you're honest with yourself. And you don't forget that no matter what you do, Hashem is watching you. And if you don't help yourself, Hashem will send you a messenger. Initially, the messages are light. But the messages get stronger as we ignore them. In the previous generation, the mitzvah that we learned about in last week's Parashat Kedoshim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, you be holy because I am holy. We have to be holy people. And then he gives us the details of what makes us holy, different mitzvot, that we have to, make sure to warn each other if we see that someone is a criminal and he's about to do business with somebody you know in the Keilah, even if that person that you know in the Keilah is not your friend, or you don't even like the guy, but you know he's about to do business with somebody that's a criminal, you have to warn him. So you can't just stand there while somebody else's blood is being spilled. If you see that there's another Jew, you have to love this Jew. If you see another Jew making a sin against Hashem, if it's a sin deoraita, if it's a sin from the Torah, you have to rebuke him. Now, there's different mitzvot, but you cannot hate people, and so on and so forth. So the mitzvah of ocheach tocheach et amitecha, that you must rebuke your brother, velo tisal of chet, and then do not come to the way of sin, that was in Parashat Kedoshim last week. In a previous generation, there was a few tzaddikim that were zealous for Hashem. One of them was Rav Shalom Shvadron. Rav Shalom Shvadron, Zchuto Tagil Aleinu, was not only a gadol b'Torah, but also a powerhouse when it came to helping Am Yisrael do tshuva. He had a very, very unique style of speaking and telling people, making fun of himself and giving you chidushim from the Torah and scaring you to death all at the same time. He was a very big person, very strong, and he and another tzaddik by the name of Rav Shabtai Yudah Levitz, alav shalom. Rav Shabtai Yudah Levitz was also a very big, strong person. And both of them were chachamim, talmidei chachamim, serious talmidei chachamim. Not like today where the guy's a beard, you think he's talmid chacham. Now, they were zealous for Hashem. What does it mean to be zealous for Hashem? They would do different things aside from the basics. So on Friday night, they wanted to make sure that everyone in the neighborhood keeps Shabbat. How do you make sure everybody keeps Shabbat? On Friday, they'd come to every store. Shabbat's coming. Like 2 hours, 3 hours before Shabbat, they'd come. Okay, Shabbat's coming. Let's go. Close the shop. Remind everybody, every Shabbat, close the shop, close the shop, close the shop. Now, you have somebody coming to your store, remind you, even if you don't keep Shabbat, but every Friday comes to your store, tells you to close shop, don't open on Shabbat, after a while, just from the embarrassment, you stop. Unless you're the exact opposite of them. You're zealous for sin. And there was such a person. There was one Rasha that hated Judaism. Not only hated Judaism, was zealous for sin. He hated when they came. They come to a store, tell him Shabbat, Shabbat, and he continued working, careless about what they're saying. Now, Rav Shvadron and Rav Yudah Levitz weren't just somebody you can pick on. They wanted to make sure if they needed you to close the store, you're going to close the store. So one day, this guy decides, I'm going to get my revenge. What does he do? He goes, he buys a huge pit bull. Vicious pit bull, raised in one of these backyards places where they fight dogs and stuff. Dog just can't wait to kill somebody. Now, pit bulls in general, they're very loving animals. I had one for 16 years. But if you train them to do the opposite of their nature, they'll do it because they think that they're protecting you. So he had this vicious pit bull, bought it, and hid it in the basement. Now, anyone that's ever been in a retail store, many times the stores, they put all of the stock of their merchandise in the basement. So they have like a door to the bottom, to the basement. It's like a gate that opens. And there's just stairs, then you walk down the stairs. So what did he do? He had the dog right behind it. So as soon as he opens it, the dog lunges, comes out to whoever's in front of it. And that was his plan. Have the dog sit there, starving, waiting, whoever's in front of him, as soon as he opens that gate, finished. Who's the lucky candidate? I'm going to go against these religious people. So this Rasha waited the whole day, licking his lips, waiting for the opportunity to hurt some religious people. Only today, he tried hurting the wrong ones, but the right ones. So, as you would have it, a couple of hours before Shabbat, Rav Spadon comes to the street, start, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, it's time to go, Shabbat Shalom, everybody do one store after another, one store after another. Eventually they get to this guy's store. And they come together, one on this side, one on that side. Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Mr. Reuven, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, huh? He opens the gate, the pit bull lunges out. Rav Spadron looks at Rav Yehuda Levitch, they look at each other, As the dog, mamash, this was like instant. People saw this. Instant. The dog lunged at them. One caught him from the front. The other one caught him from the back, and they ripped the dog in half. They were so powerful, they ripped the dog in half. They put it on his table, Shabbat Shalom, and left. He kept Shabbat from that point on. From that point on, he kept Shabbat. Why? He understood this is not human power. This is Kedusha power. It's Kedusha power. We have a hard time ripping a steak. With the fork and a knife too. But when you have two giants in Torah, Kadosh Baruch Hu will not let them get scratched. True story. You see, Rabotai Karim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends different messages to different people in their own way. The more specific you need it, the more it's going to shock you and maybe hurt you. That guy was not going to do tshuva any other way. He thought he's going to get revenge against the Torah. He had something coming to him. He got a personal message, but that's the message that he needed. Now, there's another way, Baruch Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave us a merit to help a lot of people do tshuva. You see, because the Sharet Tshuva helped us reach a lot of people, because we see that there are certain sins that are not spoken of in this generation. One of them is Pgam HaBrit. And Pgam HaBrit, the third gate of Sharet Tshuva, says that someone that masturbates using his hand or foot is punished by mitah bidei shamayim. He gets a heavenly death. That even though he himself is not going to get killed by any rabbi or anything else, Hashem is going to take revenge against such a person that doesn't do tshuva for wasting seed, because he slaughtered his own kids, as the Gemara in Masechet Nidah says, page 13a. Now, since we've been doing shiurim about this particular topic, we've reached many different people of different religions even. And Baruch Hashem, because everyone understands that this sin, regardless of whether you're Jewish or not, it's disgusting. It doesn't help you. It hurts your marriage. It hurts your body. It hurts you in a lot of different ways. So a lot of people that realize they have a problem, they watch shiurim. The point is that this is one of the tools that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has helped us help countless people. And many times when people come to me and they ask me for help for this particular issue, there's no sugarcoating. I tell them, listen, this is the playlist, watch the whole thing. Why, can't I just watch one shiur? I said, no, you watch one shiur, you're going to go back to sitting in 2 days. You have to watch the entire playlist. How many, that's it, just what it says. No. Entire playlist, again and again and again for the rest of your life. As I add more lectures, watch it again and again and again and again and again, forever. Why? This subject for every guy, married or single, young or old, need constant chizuk. Constant chizuk, this issue. Why? Because en apotropos larayot, no one is above this issue. Not the rabbi, not the student, not male, not female. The issues of arayot is very, very strong in this generation. And when people understand this, they start doing tshuva, they end up introducing the lectures to different people, and different people connect to the lectures for different reasons. Now, once in a while, HaKadosh Baruch Hu sends us different people that come to our lectures not because of this subject, sometimes because of this subject, sometimes for a different subject. Sometimes they come to us from different religions altogether. So, as I told you, I have, Baruch Hashem, recently people from all over the world watching the shiurim, but we deal with people to help them with different things, to help them convert, to help them do tshuva and so on. But once in a while, there's a unique story. So, a few months ago, maybe 2-3 months ago, my assistant sends me a email. She says, such and such person, which I didn't know who he was. I don't know every single person that sends donations or anything to the company. Says such and such person asks if he just donated a week ago, some money, and he's asking if he can get a refund. So I looked at the halacha, and the problem is that once you donate money for KIRUV, for Torah, there is no such thing as the refunds. And the reason why is because you gave money to the Beit HaMikdash. You can't go to the rabbi and say, Rabbi, listen, I gave you $1,000 last year. Can I get the money back? Can't do that. It's like going to the Beit HaMikdash. You brought the korban. You know what? I'm just going to raise, I'm not going to eat this cow. Let me just take it back. I'm not going to give it to the, there's no like thing. There's no refunds. Why? It's against halacha. It's like you're stealing money from Hashem. Once you give money for Torah, there's no taking it back. But, the same token, I know that some people don't understand this. They think, no, you're just making it up. No, you're just trying to steal the money from the people. Like stupid stuff that people make up in their head. So after discussing it with Rabbi Yaron, he says, listen, very simple. If this guy wants a refund, tell him, I wrote a letter explaining. I said, halacha says I am not allowed to give you a refund. Not because I don't want to. It has nothing to do with me. It's not my money. Once you donated the money is considered like it went to the Beit HaMikdash. There's no taking it back from Hashem. But we do have a reserve that we use every single month that we give to poor people. We go to poor people. In Eretz Yisrael, we send money to Eretz Yisrael every month. So if you're poor, if you're in a really terrible financial condition, we'll give you even more than what you gave. What, you gave $50, we'll give you $100. Whatever you need if you're in trouble. We'll help you if you're poor. I didn't know why you wanted the refund. I don't ask why people want refunds. It's not exactly, we're not a store. We're not selling them, computers or something. It's, donated money, you want a refund. Okay, fine, take a refund. But it's not a refund. So, I'm going to give you the money because you're poor, not because it's a refund. It's not a refund. I'm helping you. I'm fulfilling a mitzvah. So then the guy says, thank you for communicating with me. No, I'm not poor. So I don't need the refund. I'm not going to take the refund. But I'm glad that you answered because I want to tell you why. I'm upset at you. Now, I never heard of this guy in my life. He wants the refund because he wanted the refund because he's upset at me. But now he's writing it off. He's like, okay, I'm not going to take the refund. I don't want you, there's no reason for me. But I want to tell you I'm upset at you. Why? You made fun of Christianity. Made fun of Christianity, and that's what I am. It's Christian. So, hold on a second. Okay, that's a little bit of a problem now. What do you mean you're Christian? Why are you watching my shiurim? No, I appreciate your shiurim. I even watch Rabbi Mizrahi's shiurim. I watch this, I watch that. I like it. You guys are nice people. You're smart. I watch your shiurim. So now, Rabotai, I'm allergic to Christianity. Why? Because I've dealt with it so intensely in my own personal life and with other people that I know how many people it hurts. So just like anything else, and even more so than anything else, when it comes to this topic, there's no sugarcoating. I don't believe in sugarcoating, generally speaking, even more so with this. Anytime somebody has come to me and tell me that they believe in Christianity, they get a default email, a default letter. And I'll read you guys the letter that once I found out that's what he is, this is what response that he got. Again, he's a nice person. He's just telling me that he's upset because I made fun of Yoshke a little bit, and which I try to do as often as possible, Baruch Hashem, because it's a mitzvah from the Torah, to make fun of idolatry. But anyway, he sends me a letter telling me that he's upset with me. And now, instead of saying, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to upset you, please donate some more money, or anything like that, this is what I write him. Wake up, dear New Testament believer. Believing in Jesus or the New Testament is considered 100% idolatry, according to the Holy Torah. Please watch the 3-hour rabbi's debate with the Christian professor that proves the New Testament is a flawed man-made book that is a contradiction to the Torah and not a supplement. So the first link I give them is the famous debate by Rabbi Mizrahi, because it's my personal favorite, and I think it's the most effective. And then watch and learn to become a righteous Gentile, and I give him a lecture about Noahites. I think either that I made or Rabbi Mizrahi made, I think I made it, or whoever it is. Then as Rabbi Tovia Singer is a good rabbi to research on YouTube, and I give him some links where he shows the falsehood of Christianity. No, listen, it's soft, nothing. It's false, it's idolatry, you need to know immediately. Now he's calling me, he's contacting me because he's upset that I made fun of it. I'm making sure that we go out with a bang. Why? Because he needs to know it's fake. He needs to know it's fake. There's no room for sugarcoating idol worship. So, I give him the lectures from Rabbi Tovia Singer. I even give him a website for an organization called Netiv by a friend of mine called, his name was Rod Bryant. He has a Noahide organization. Then I give him a link for Rabbi Mizrahi's Purpose of Life. Then also watch another shiur that shows the New Testament is man-made and that Jesus was not who people think he is, and these are proofs that the New Testament is completely false. And it's one of my lectures that I did about this topic. And I tell them that I hope you take advantage, you and your family take advantage of this opportunity and see the truth and the blessing of a lifetime. So this now starts a very different conversation. Naturally it does. So now he tells me, and I tell him, he tells me something else. I tell him, listen, we don't intend to upset people like you. It's just that medicine sometimes is painful. And the truth of the Torah is sometimes painful. Although the New Testament claims to be a continuation of the Torah, it contradicts it countless times, stating that God was intimate with a woman. He has 3 parts. It's 100% idolatry. It's false teaching, and so on and so forth. So now we start going back and forth, where he's thanking me for the reply, but defending his belief. I provide him information. He's defending his beliefs. And this ends after several days of back and forth. And that's it. I don't hear from the guy after I shoot some bombs. He goes his way, I go my way. Baruch Hashem. Yishtabach Shemo La'ad. This has happened already several times, but it's always just as exciting. Dear Rabbi Reuven, you may recall the discussion we had via email titled Donation Refund 2 months ago. In it, I was suggesting you debate a Catholic priest and that I wanted a donation refund because of uncharitable remarks you and one of your followers have made. Well, I have news that may be of interest to you. I know you're a busy man, so I will be as brief as possible. 1. I wanted, past tense, a refund because someone on your channel positively mentioned Louis Farrakhan and you didn't denounce them, yet you have publicly denounced Christians in the past. So I thought you were demonstrating a double standard by criticizing Christianity by giving others a pass. In hindsight, I know you can't respond to every public comment, nor would you want to involve yourself in every matter. I know you wouldn't endorse such a man like Farrakhan, and I comment that it was not your fault. It was the fault of the commenter, and so on. 2, right to the point, I have finally accepted Judaism. I have been watching Rabbi Mizrahi since 2018, and I believe God led me to his work. Correspondingly, and probably of no coincidence, I'd lose my faith in Christianity during the Catholic season of Lent up until Easter of the year 2018, 19, and 20, on the dot without fail. And in so many words, he continues to tell me the details of his tshuva. So simply put, I do not want to commit the sin of idolatry any further, nor follow corrupted translations of Hebrew transcripts, Hebrew scriptures. I don't want to commit sin in general. Rabbi Tovia Singer clearly proves how the Torah and the Tanakh were changed to accommodate the New Testament, and that's simply wrong. And as for the New Testament itself, obviously it contradicts the Hebrew scriptures and can't be defended. Wow. While writing this email, you just connected a dot for me in your latest lecture called Is Sinning in Your Blood? This was last week. During these aforementioned Lenten seasons, I switched to pescatarian diet for 40 days. 2020 has been an exception because I've started to eat kosher. And he continues to go into the details. Long story short, Rabotai Karim, if it wasn't for a few things that we'll highlight right now, this person would continue being an idol worshiper. What is he doing now? He's moving in 2 days to a Jewish community. He's starting a formal conversion process, BeEzrat Hashem. He's abandoned idolatry altogether, and BeEzrat Hashem, very soon you're going to see another Jew added to the world. Now, what are the noticeable keys to the success here? 1, the mitzvah of ocheach tocheach et amitecha, although it is a mitzvah for you to rebuke your brother, right before it, it does say that you're not allowed to stand there in front of the blood of somebody else. While somebody else's blood is spilled, that somebody else could be a non-Jew also. If you see someone that is harming themselves and you can help, help. Jew or non-Jew. Person is hurting themselves, you have the tools to help them, you have information, you have links, you have a mouth that you can help them. Help them if you can. That's what was brought to your attention, and it wasn't brought to her or to him or to somebody else. So although it's not an obligation to rebuke, it is an obligation to not stand there while someone's killing themselves. And if you do it for the sake of heaven, it'll work more times than it doesn't. This is not the first time someone that's defending Christianity to me ended up going into conversion process and becoming a Jew. Several times it's happened. They try, several missionaries will contact me, and today, Baruch Hashem, some of them are already Jewish. So when you do things for the sake of heaven, the results are very different. But there's also a very, very important factor on his end that he did without even realizing. You see, the Torah tells us that one of the worst people in the world, where the source of idolatry stems from in the world, where the sort of hatred for Judaism, for Torah comes from, started with a person by the name of Nimrod. Nimrod Rasha. His name itself means Marad be'Hashem, enemy of Hashem, went against Hashem. But Nimrod had a arch enemy. Who? Avraham Avinu. Avraham Avinu embarrassed him in front of everybody. When he wanted to throw him into the fire, Avraham was dancing with HaKadosh Baruch Hu inside the fire. Nothing happened to him. But after this, Nimrod wasn't ready to do tshuva. Why? He's a king of all these people, most powerful person in the world. He doesn't want to give up all the millions. But he's not stupid either. What did he do? He told his son, said, Eliezer, it's better that you're his slave, you're a servant of Avraham, than a king after me. And he sent his son, Eliezer, to be the servant of Avraham Avinu. Now Eliezer grew up and became a tzaddik, huge tzaddik. Eliezer, anytime Avraham couldn't give a shiur to people, because he did KIRUV with everyone, made millions of people do tshuva. The Zohar Kadosh says that people would come to Avraham Avinu's house to eat. It's okay, you can eat, no problem. But you have to Birkat Hamazon. Oh, what's Birkat Hamazon? You have to say thank you to Hashem. Don't want to, you have to pay. Oh, okay, since you say Birkat Hamazon, let me give you a shiur. What's the first shiur? Genom. That's what Zohar Kadosh says. First shiur. First shiur, Avraham Avinu would give people, first time. Wasn't about Hashem took back his millions. What? Avraham Avinu didn't have Hashem took back his millions. No. What do you say? Genom. What's Genom? Oh, I'm going to tell you all the details. More than I have. More than I have. Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah says, just the tractate of Avodah Zarah that Avraham Avinu had is bigger than our entire Shas, Bavli and Yerushalmi together. That's how much Torah he had. And we teach them about Genom. Details we can't even know about. First shiur. No wonder they did tshuva. Now, kind of contradicts what we said before. Avraham, you're killing it for me right now. So now, Rabotai Kareem, Avraham Avinu has this talmid. Anytime he can't give a shiur, he has to have somebody else. He can't cancel shiur Torah. What do you do? Eliezer, yalla, give him a shiur. What is it about, Rabbi? Genom. Okay, yalla. No. Same shiur as last week? No, even better. More genom. Okay, yalla. Eliezer will give him the shiur. Meaning Eliezer became Dolador. Eliezer became Kodesh Kodashim. One day comes, Avraham says, okay, it's time for us to find a kala for my son, Yitzchak. Eliezer has a daughter. Now this daughter grew up in Eliezer's house, grew up in Avraham Avinu's house. So you know she's a tzadikah. She went to a Bet Yaakov, Tznuah, Kisur Rosh already at 3 years old. Hey, Shtabach Shimo. She Pasak Barambam. Kisur Rosh, everything. Tzadikah. I said, why did you give my tzadikah to Avraham? I have a daughter. You have a son. Shidduch. Avraham Avinu, Kodesh Kodashim, says to his second in command, Eliezer, says, Eliezer, it can never be. Why? It can't be for the Rav. Because I am Baruch, and you are Arur. I am blessed, and you're cursed. I am from the chosen people, you're from the cursed people. Kna'an. Now if it was me, what? I'm cursed. I give lectures just as much as you. I'm number one on YouTube. I have CDs. What? Okay, I'm starting my own shop. I'm starting my own BeEzrat Hashem. I'm starting my own thing. I'm cursed? Okay, I'm cursed. I'll show you who's cursed. I'll show you who's cursed. I did your laundry. I did this. I worked the horses. I did everything. I'm cursed? Okay, I'm going to start my own thing. That's why I'm not Eliezer. I wouldn't pass the test. You know what Eliezer does? He says, Kvod Rav, you're right. You're right. So I'm going to go find your son a kala. When he came back, when Eliezer came back, what did Avraham say to him? He says, come Baruch Hashem. Come Baruch Hashem. Come, the one that's blessed by Hashem. Wait, before you said he's Arur, he's cursed. Now he's Baruch Hashem. When Akadosh Baruch Hu saw that Eliezer, be'emet, for real, did not get hurt from the emet, he knew it was true, he accepted it as true, even if it was not exactly the greatest thing in the world to hear that he's cursed. That's the emet, and he accepted it. Akadosh Baruch Hu went in the Bet Din of Shamayim and says, we're changing Eliezer from Arur to Baruch Hashem. And he's one of the 10 people that walked into Gan Eden alive with his clothes on. I wish we go to Gan Eden dying. It's still good enough. We don't clothes. He walked into Gan Eden with his clothes on. Never died. That's Eliezer. Why? He accepted the emet as it is. Now, Rabotai Yekarim, when a person gets the emet punched in his face, what you've been believing in for 30, 40, 50 years is idol worship. What you've been doing for 30, 40, 50 years against Hashem. you are considered a rasha. You are considered an idol worshiper. You are doing something wrong. You could easily fight. You could easily say curse. You could easily act like an animal. You don't. You say, you know what? You have some proofs of what you're saying? Yeah, it's right here. Parashat this, parashat that, big this back. Oh, you're right. How could I change? What could I do? You accept it, become Baruch Hashem. You become Baruch Hashem. Now this guy, he doesn't even realize what he did. He got the emet punched in his face. Why? I told him his entire belief system is idol worship. You know what I would have done if I was him? Dispute the charge. Don't ask for a refund. Dispute. Fraud. All types of things you can do. Torture people. No. He says, that's the emet. That's the emet. That little thing for $70 or some measly amount of money bought this person olam haba. Why? You accepted the emet. You accepted the emet as it is. You realize that this is a problem. You investigated it for the next few months. HaKadosh Baruch Hu opened your heart. You opened your heart for the emet. HaKadosh Baruch Hu put everything in it. Alvai alenu to accept the emet like that. Alvai for all of Am Yisrael to accept the emet that quickly. Within a matter of a couple of months to completely turn around our entire belief system that warped and against Hashem. It could start with the stomach from the Chazon Ish, or it could start from the stomach of Hashem took back his millions. It could start in different ways, Rabotai. The key is to understand the Jewish ideology and what you make of it. Meaning that the ideology itself, the HaShkafa itself, is never going to change. It is what it is. But it's going to treat you how you treat it. When you disregard it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to show you the tough parts. He's going to show you Midat Adin. He's going to show you the tough parts that you don't want to hear about. When you accept it, all of a sudden you see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's Midat HaChesed. All of a sudden the Beit Din is welcoming you. All of a sudden the community is welcoming you. All of a sudden you find a shidduch. All of a sudden you got a new job with more money. All of a sudden the rabbi is giving you extra attention. All of a sudden things accept. But when you try to beat the system, go around the system, shortcuts, this cuts, that cuts, that means you're not accepting Da'at Torah. You don't accept Da'at Torah, you'll stay arur. You'll stay a nothing. You'll stay in the wrong direction. Why do that to yourself? Why do that to yourself? I know it seems like the right way is the long way, but the right way is really the short way. The right way is the short way. Why? It actually gets to its destination. The wrong way is wrong. It doesn't get to the right destination. Whatever destination you arrive in is always going to be wrong. You may get there a week later, but it's still the wrong house. What's the point of getting there? The ideology of a Jew is supposed to be that I'm going to listen to whatever Da'at Torah is, no matter what. No matter if it's comfortable for me, not comfortable for me. I like it, I don't like it. I agree with it, I don't agree with it. Because I know that the minute that I hear Torah, I know it's emet. The minute that I know it's emet, and it can be proven with a pasuk in the Torah, it can be proven by a sage, it can be proven by Tanakh, by the Gemara, by the Puskim, it can be proven. It's not something out of thin air. It can be proven. I know this is from Mount Sinai. I want as much of it as possible, no matter how much it hurts, because I know that pain is just the beginning. It's pleasure after that. It's only good after that. When a person allows the emet to enter, only blessings will follow him. Only blessings will follow us, Rabotai. So it's important for us to accept the emet. When we accept the emet, no matter how uncomfortable it is, guess what? All of the other things that we want start working out. Even our Yirat Shamayim is easier to acquire. Why? You accepted the emet, Yirat Shamayim starts entering. You start understanding things better. Now you understand why I need to fear this, fear that. You start appreciating HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You start developing a relationship with Hashem. You start having the right Yirat Shamayim that's not just afraid of losing a book or losing money or losing... No, you're afraid of disconnecting from Hashem. You start getting the right Yirat Shamayim that you want. That's not just based on fearing of stuff. You're fearing of disconnecting from Hashem, losing this wonderful feeling. But it all starts with accepting the Emet. BeEzrat Hashem, we all have the merit to accept the Emet as it is, live with it, and make sure to always publicize it to our brothers and sisters in the four corners of the world, because if you deserve the Emet and you want the Emet, they do also, they deserve it also. Don't be an ungrateful person and keep the Emet to yourself. Publicize it to the world, and I promise you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will bless you to no end. Baruch Adonai Le'olam, Amen ve'amen.